Hi and welcome to lesson 4. In lesson 4 we're going to learn a new statement, the for next loop. So we've used the if statement, but now we want to try a new statement which is very handy to have in your repertoire, the for next loop. So again, right click, add new project, do a Windows Forms app, and we're just going to call this Math Quiz 2. Again, version 8 and create, and we shall see if this will actually load the designer. We haven't had one successfully load yet, and it doesn't look like it wants to today either. So save, close solution. We'll close down VS as well just to be sure. And we'll restart it. The joys of being a developer. So we'll then open up number 2. Wait for the solution to load, let it load each of the projects within the solution. And then, as you can see, Maths Quiz is set to the default one. As I showed you before, you can do the drop down there, or you can right click on the project and say set as startup project. You'll see that the startup project's changed and the Maths Quiz 2 is available to play and run and build. We'll run it from fresh and see that we're getting a blank form, and then we'll double click on form and hope that the designer loads this time. Now we're doing a second maths quiz, and this maths quiz is going to be for multiplication. So for multiplication we're going to have a number, which times table do you want to learn, and then how many of the times table do you want to test yourself with. So ping the toolbox open again. We're going to add a label and a text box. We're going to reposition them, and then in the label we're going to change the text property to number to text, and then we'll want to change the text box control to a similar name. So we'll call that number to test. So we've got the number we want to test. We now want to see how many of that multiplication we want to test. So again, highlight controls, Control C, Control V. We'll then rename the text box to iterations, and we'll rename the label to iterations as well. So we've got our controls to set the values that we want. It might be nice to actually set some default values for this. So like I've shown you before, when you can set the text value in code, you can do this as a default value. So we'll do it in the properties sheet. We'll set the number to test to be 7 and the number of iterations to be 3, because we don't want to do too many today. Once we've got that, we'll get our trusty friend the button, and we'll change the text property to quiz me. And then we're going to put this button to use. So double click on it. It'll open up the code window again. So we'll hide the toolbox. And in here, we're going to want to loop each of the loop the number to test that number of times. So how do we do that? Well, we'll use some variables like we did before. So we'll dim up an integer, and we'll just call it n for the number, and we'll dim up an answer again as an integer 2. So we want to use the new statement, so this is a for statement, so we're saying for n equals 1, 2, and then we want to convert the value of the iterations. But again, it's iterations.text, and then the for loop ends with a next, so it's going to say for each time round do something. Now what do we want to do? Well, we want to ask the user what they think the answer is. So we've asked the user for some input before using an input box, so we're going to reuse that function. So we're going to say what is, and then string concatenation again, what is n times, and then it's the number to test dot text, and then we'll add a nice question mark at the end as well, just to finish off the sentence. So now we can run the app, and we've got the default values already set, and we can click quiz me and it'll say what is 1 times 7, and we can say 7, and it'll keep asking for each. Now I've misspelled that, and also we haven't done any error handling for checking for like a valid integer or a value in the input. So for now, we're just going to do like we do in VBA, on error resume next, so it just ignores the error, but in future lessons we'll run through proper error handling and not just ignore them. So let's update the times text so it reads properly, and then we'll rerun the app and try this again. So we'll do 7 times 3, we know it's 7. 7 times 1, 7, sorry, 2 times 7. If we leave it empty, it'll not crash, and then 7 times 3 is 21, not 31. That's if I type the right buttons from the keyboard. Now, that's all well and good, but it's not actually confirming that we've got the right answer. So why don't we use our trusty friend from before and add an if statement into the mix. So we can say if the answer is equal to n times the val of number to test text, then we know we are correct. So we can use again another function we're very familiar with now, message box. We can say correct. But of course, if you're wrong, we want to tell them that they're wrong. So we can use message box again, and we can say message box incorrect. So now we can run the app again and see if the value that we're asking the user for is correct. So we want, we're 7 times table, 3 iterations. We're going to say 1 times 7 is 7, and we are correct. 2 times 7, we'll do unlucky 13, it's incorrect. And then let's type the right number this time. 3 times 7 is 21, and we're correct. And that's it for the for control, or the for loop, sorry, in VB.NET. So that's it for this lesson. Join us for lesson 5 next. Thanks.